something flipped over for us. Where did it go? There it is. Okay, King of Pentacles in the reverse. So you guys could be, just kind of dealing with some financial issues, but I feel like even as I say that, yeah, and here we have now the Knight of Pentacles. I was just going to say that even though I say that, I feel that the energy of Pentacles is very abundant, and it's like it's actually right around the corner. But anyway, I kind of pre-shuffled these beforehand, but I'm going to do just a little bit more till I feel we're ready to go. And it was nice. I checked last night to see if I had a job today. I work remotely. You're not feeling... Wow, okay, yeah, you the Lovers and the Justice in the reverse. It's like you're reevaluating the choices that you've been making up to this point in your life. And you're reflecting, basically on everything that's come to you as of now. Past relationships, in all areas of your life, right? In past relationships, in the area of career, in the area of finance. So 2 major arcana there, but let's get into it. I'll do a couple more shuffles. But anyway, I was saying that I do not have to work today, so that was kind of nice. So I'm gonna just kind of get all the little extra things in that I can today, right? All right, so as within, so without. Let's take a look at your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and how it's affecting your 3D. Temperance in the reverse. You're trying to bring things back into balance, guys. Yeah, you're moving toward Emperor energy here. This is very powerful energy, and I often say with the Emperor, when I first heard it said about the Emperor, it just absolutely resonated within me. But the Emperor contains the energy of all kings. So you are working. I feel that you're really working right now in your mind, in how your thoughts and feelings are affecting your life. And you're headed toward very powerful energy. It's like you know who you are. You know exactly who you are. You know the legacy that you want to leave behind. But you haven't quite balanced that yet. You're so I was trying to take a look at the Roman numeral. Okay, so 14. Interesting, actually, 14. It's since I think I was a young teenager, it was just that number really stood out as kind of like I claimed that 14 as my favorite number. I also feel that you're just not like negotiating anymore. Like in a good way. It's you're not gonna lend your energy to those or to situations, or you're not gonna lend your energy to anything that's gonna lower your personal vibration. All right, let's, okay, so your as within coming in as the King of Cups. Okay, so it's very, you know, you're a very warm-hearted individual. You really you try to give everything your best. You could have, you know, water or earth in your chart. I don't recall whether the Emperor, you know, is water, air, fire, or earth. Although I'm getting very either earthy or fiery energy with the card. Fire sign, yeah, that's what I was, just by the imagery alone, that's really, and just the energy coming off just felt very more fiery than earthy. But what's beautiful is, like, you do have, I wonder if you're an air sign, guys, but you have earth, fire, water, okay? And right now, you haven't quite balanced all your energies out, okay? But once you do that, you know, once you start alchemizing the energies to your will, I mean, guys, that's what I'm saying, like, you're going to become very powerful here. Emperor energy, king energy. So I feel that you really do lead with your emotions, which is great. And I feel that you guys may be, you know, low-key manifestors. You know, it's like, I don't know if you guys are necessarily aware of that or not. I'm getting more of a feeling of you haven't quite gotten there yet, but you're very, you know, you're on your way. Okay. So with the Temperance, as I was saying, 14. So if that number stands out to you for whatever reason, okay. This is amazing. So this may really be like, if you guys resonate with, you know, 144, okay, and whatever facet, this is definitely your reading, guys, because, you know, I've pulled the Temperance quite a bit, okay. I never focused in on, like, oh yeah, you know, Roman numeral 15 or 14. What's beautiful about that, right? 144. So 144. Okay, and I'll leave that there for those of you who that resonates with, and, you know, we'll dig in a little bit more. And it's very interesting because it's, you know, you're as above, so below. So they're, you know, I feel that you're, I just feel a calling that it's almost like you may kind of feel at an impasse, like, okay, how do I start balancing everything? You know, how do I start balancing the energies? But I feel like you don't have to take on necessarily so much on your plate. I feel that your guides, source energy, the universe, they're here to support you. They're there, you know, they're here to help you. But it's like you kind of have to have the intention of seeking their help, you know, of seeking help from energies that are supporting us in other dimensions and other timelines. and just to, and just kind of, because, and I'm in the same boat where I finally started communicating more so with like my team and my guides, like the end of 2024. And I was actually seeing the communication back. And I'll go ahead. There's a book that a friend of mine, or a friend that was introduced to me through a mutual friend. So I didn't know her too well, which is kind of even cooler, because randomly she's like, she either called or texted me, maybe texted me, and she's like, hey, Source told me to tell you to read this book. And at that, literally like at that day or the day before, I had like just gone through like a small tower moment, if you will. And it was just like, and barely knew the girl, and she just was like, Source told me to tell you to read this book. And the book is called Hiring the Heavens. I will try and link that in the description. But what I love about it, very short read, like 80-ish or so pages, right? Anyway, so I was hiring, my spirit team essentially to help guide me here in the 3D, 5D, however, however they so choose. And it's incredible, like, okay, I'll give you a personal example. I hired a spiritual chauffeur. And guys, it's like, I could go to places that are going to be super crowded or whatever, and I just find spots. One of the coolest ones was, I had spoken to in one video, I had a girlfriend of mine who invited me to go hear an individual's sermon, and I forget his name. I think Johnny Chang, I think that's his name. I get there, and I remember she called me, she's like, yeah, you might have to park on the grass out, blah, blah, blah. I just start driving in, and then someone kind of flags me down. I roll my window down, and he's like, I heard what he said, he's like, are you staying for the event? It was kind of a weird, the way he said it was kind of off, and I remember in my mind, I was like, wait, what is he asking? But I was just like, yes. And he's like, just pull right here. Like, literally, like, right behind this car and right by the front doors. And my friend was, like, walking from wherever she had parked. So, it's just things like that. Like, when you truly set your intention out and, like, literally, your angels, your guides, Source, the universe, us, like, we're all one, but we're all here to help each other, okay? Raise the collective, raise the vibrations, move into the new earth. So you just have to find that missing piece, guys. As I say that, I've kind of noticed the triangle, but I've never really honed in on it like I am right now. So, and that missing piece may be just asking for help, not feel like I was saying earlier, not feeling like you're having to carry, or like, not even carry, but it's like you're on your own. And it's like, yes, we all have to do the inner work on our own, but we're not like left out in the ocean without, us, like a little safety vest or float, you know what I'm saying? So I think that if you sit, meditate, ask for guidance, for help, you're going to get it. And what I was also going to say is I feel like it's like, as I'm talking about it now, I'm like, I don't do it enough myself, even though I've gotten benefits from it. So, anyway, we do our best, right? Okay, so Temperance in the reverse. This is coming in as the only major arcana in today's spread. And I forgot to look at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so Page of Wands in the reverse. Yeah, okay, so the Page of Wands, really, it speaks to a message. With it coming in the reverse, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like the universe is here to support you they're trying to get messages through to you, but I don't, I'm not quite sure what the disconnect is here, right? And it could just be because you're so bottled up and trying to figure out how to balance out your life, or how to create, or how to start tailoring your journey into what it is that you want. What do you want out of life? So, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, guys. I think if you can focus, I have to say it on, just balancing your inner and outer worlds with the Temperance here. And once you start, wait, where is it going with that? Let's see here. Okay, I guess I was saying, once you start balancing your inner and outer worlds, which this is very the fact that we're doing that as within, so without, it's just, it's a really cool reading. But once you start balancing that, I feel like you're going to start being more receptive to the energies around you, to the messages that are trying to come in, to the downloads that are trying to come in. But a lot of this, guys, I feel like for a lot of this, where was I going with that? I was just going to say, for a lot of this to occur, I would behoove you to have that time to yourself, especially if you're experiencing a lot of just moving energy. Maybe you work, go to school, family things. There's just, you feel like there's a lot going on. Summer is upon us, and the warmer weather. So a lot of activity. But you're going to need to prioritize some alone time. To meditate, to journal, to just daydream, to just have fun and start co-creating along with Source. So how, that's just going to have to be personal to everyone, okay? But definitely a message there. The Temperance in the reverse, as we spoke to, there's some imbalance here. Okay, and some discord. But this is a reflection of something that, of course, is out of balance and may be causing stress and anxiety. And as I was just saying, you must take time, okay, to reflect carefully about what needs to change. Temperance reminds us that all things are only good in moderation, and we must examine in which aspects of our lives that we are breaking any balance. So right now in your mind, something is causing stress and anxiety, and it may be kind of not understanding where your future is going, or not really, but once you start tapping in, I said, and again, merging your inner and outer worlds, you'll know. It'll just be something that once you start co-creating along with Source energy, or simply just attracting. It's essentially about commanding, commanding the energy to do what it is you want it to do. You command your cells, you can talk to your cells, you can, tell the universe that this is what I want, So at this time, again, very, if you're going to take anything from the reading, okay, this is your mindset, your thoughts, your as above, is again to reflect and think carefully about what needs to change, what area of your life are you feeling out of balance? Now, your soul below is coming in as the Emperor, so another major arcana, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize there were two major arcana. You're as above, so below. So very interesting. Now, the Emperor, you're very, you exude a lot of confidence. And it's like, you have very powerful energies, very grounded energy, very creative, fiery, intellectual energy, and very, you're very emotionally, or at least you've come to the point where you've gathered a very good hold of your emotional well-being. So while in your head, I feel like if it, and it's normal, it's a human thing. You're in your head right now a little bit. You're feeling stressed and anxious. Okay. But even with that being said, right now, okay, in your 3D, as you're at so below, you are very focused and disciplined. You're very practical in what you do in your day-to-day. I feel like you have a good control of like your day-to-day, right? In terms of what it is that you do, how you get your coin, how you live your life as a whole. I could be talking to a father, or someone that just has very fatherly energy, or just very mentor. Someone may look at you as a father, basically. The way that you lead, it's like you do lead by example. So with the energy of this card, guys, I feel that you could be put in charge of something important rather soon. Perhaps a position at work or some type of organization or institution. But this is energy, this is just the energy that you put out, you're attracting in, and so that's going to basically bring you opportunities. So I don't really feel, it's like your mindset is not affecting how you're operating, again, in your day-to-day. Like, you're able to go to work, you're able to get things done. You have powerful energy. As I say that's cute. I'm definitely, I feel like it's just kind of hit me that I am talking to more so the masculines today. And especially, again, just with with all the masculine characters here, even in the Page of Wands. And you're just trying to balance all of that right now. You're trying to balance all of these energies. And that's why I did say earlier, I could be speaking to an air sign because I don't see any air here. But that's just the point. Like, it's like you've got such a good, you're gifted, guys. You are gifted. And once you realize that and start, like I said, balancing your inner and outer world, and that's going to take some work, whatever that, it's not really hard work. Meditation's not hard. It's actually very enjoyable. Like, I look forward to my meditations now. I had put it off for so long where I felt like, you just come up with things like, ugh. But I started implementing it because I kept getting messages, meditate. And mind you, I still, I typically still I'm really just at guided meditation. So I haven't really even gone into really doing it just with absolute silence. So, here and there, but not like when I do daily meditations, it's typically guided. So, as I said, because like once you really feel like totally balanced, guys, it's really crazy. It's just the energies here look so, I don't know, I want to say delicious, like, and again, the energy of all kings. And it's like, that, and that's why maybe there is this anxiety of, but why, of whatever, when, as of like, well, when, or why not yet, or what do I need to do differently, or what am I doing wrong? But you just have to be careful. This is coming in as your as above card, so your mindset, how your mindset is affecting your behavior. Now again, I did say it's actually not really affecting it. You're still very much leading by example in your frame, and you're confident in yourself. You can regulate your emotions, you make grounded decisions. You're a very practical person. Now, as within, okay, we have the King of Cups. And what's so beautiful about this is, I take this as like your soul. So at your core, guys, you're wise, you're diplomatic, you have a balanced head and heart, you're devoted. And I said earlier, you may be like, people may look up to you as a father, or you may be a father, but the King of Cups as well, the energy here speaks to, the fact that you could be an advisor or a counselor, whether you're aware of that or not, whether you're aware that some people really look up to you and see you as a mentor, as a guide. But in all areas of your life, you're using your head and heart, in love. You balance your emotional well-being in the career sector, making practical and logical moves. And your wisdom leads to respect and admiration. Okay, let's look at you sitting here on 2 thrones. But, in the King of Cups, it's just a reminder to never repress your emotions. It's essential to feel sadness, anger, as well as happiness, and joy. And especially for the masculines out there, with certain expectations of how masculine humans should operate, or emotionally for that matter. I could be speaking to some of you who often perhaps avoid emotions, worried that they will engulf you, or worried of what others will think, or so call to, I think that could be a message for some, but I feel that really though, you are emotionally balanced, even if you don't necessarily show that to others, right? So just a small example, say in a situation happens, everyone's crying in the moment, but you have it together. But perhaps when you're back home, you may then let it out, which is still, I would say healthy, right? Versus not even allowing yourself to cry with yourself. But again, that was just a simple example of an emotion. But again, at your core, at your soul, balanced head and heart. So, and it's funny, because you feel that, I should say, you feel that, but your mindset's still kind of maybe playing tricks on you. But again, you're trying, the universe is trying to communicate with you here, but there is a little bit of blockage, or maybe not even blockage, just you're not listening, right? Are you seeing the signs? Are you looking out for the signs? Are you being receptive? But with all that being said, the Page of Pentacles is now coming in, which I typically take as a, this is either, I take as an offer, as well as simply a dependable man. And it's like I said, you guys are, people look up to you. You are dependable. So let's take a look. The Page of Pentacles is coming in for your so without, which I think is the external factors that are at play here in your 3D or in your day-to-day. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of getting the feeling you guys could be a professor or a teacher, where there's a lot of, because I'm getting a lot of studious energy, star student. So you could have very loyal and faithful, I feel like, energies around you. I'm thinking like a classroom or, just, students. But whatever you're involving yourself in now, like the energies that you are in now, they represent new beginnings, passions, and the start of a new endeavor. So you're moving in the right direction if as you've been doubting yourself in the mind. But no, guys, truly, you may be looking to just either make a career change of some sort. I'm not saying like if you're a teacher, completely get out of it, but maybe tailor it a little bit, or pursuing an entrepreneurial endeavor. But the energy behind this card speaks to the motivation needed to manifest your goals. And that, I'm telling you, that is where you're moving. I think if you just allow, okay, the art of allowing, if you just really actually allow, then things are going to start manifesting in your favor. You're not going to be in this mindset of stress and anxiety, because as I think I said in the beginning of the reading, it's a knowing. And once you know, all doubt will be erased. So, again, I had said you're very dedicated in your relationships, whether you are currently in one or not. You're going to be attracting diligent lovers, guys. And you're making ambitious moves. You have big dreams at this time. You could be training for something. Like, I don't know if that's training for the career or to kind of advance your skills in the industry, or if this is like a hobby. Like you want to take up cycling or something, right? As well, that you're setting good habits with your finances. Whether you were having some, troubles in the past or not, you are making changes and just setting good habits. And this card reminds you to just remain passionate, guys. Remain in touch with the original drive that propels you in whatever project or advancement that it is that you're wanting to make. And just be cautious, that you don't let perfectionism or fear of failure, slow you down or get you back into this imbalanced mindset of, where you start, and you'll know, when your mind is imbalanced, that's when you'll know, the indicators are that you start feeling stressed, you start feeling anxious, you start feeling, the energy of worry. And when you catch yourself, in that situation, that's kind of a way to be like, okay, right, let me take a step back and reevaluate the situation, right? What good or what's the best outcome that I can make from what's at play here, right? All right, let's pull an advice card to close. All right, guys, the World in the reverse. So this is your third major arcana to come out. It's such crazy energy, because it's like you guys are so powerful and well-balanced individuals, and it's like it, but yet you haven't quite balanced the energies into to the point where you're able to co-create your current 3D along, with source energy. So all I can say, guys, is like I said, this is definitely a message that you are being called to allow in, you know, the ancient wisdom, to however that resonates to you. But you're being called to, it's like in order to balance and get into the energy of co-creation, I feel like you can't take it on all by yourself. You know, you basically need, you know, help from the 5D, all right, to bring your 3D into reality, into balance, into where you're living your day by day, you know, without fear, without concern of judgment. Okay. I feel like you're being called here to just not be too strategic about how this is how you allow in, or what you, I feel like essentially you may be too focused on something that you're not, the messages, these downloads, like it's your intuition. It's as simple as that. You're not allowing your intuition to come through. Or maybe you feel an intuitive decision, but then you're like, no, like you brush, you just put it off to the side because I don't know, it's like you know better. It's like you're telling yourself, no, I know better. But at the same time, that's leading to stress and anxiety in the mind. It's kind of like, there needs to be a little bit of compromise here, guys, however that resonates to you. But it's like you could feel like you're in a never-ending power struggle with yourself. But, the Five of Swords, in terms of coming in for, why the universe's messages are not getting through to you. It could be because it's like you're feeling unfocused in your energy, or like you're not making progress. Maybe it's on this project you want to pursue, if that resonates with some of you. But you are encouraged to be patient and focus on taking small, consistent steps, toward your goals. But as I said, it doesn't have to be so calculated how you communicate with the universe. You could literally just sit there and start talking out loud, and asking for guidance, from source, from the universe, however you would wish to do so. I wish you all very well. I enjoyed the reading. I'll see you next time.